Hello and welcome to the third episode of Racing with UoNRT. Today we have a special guest, Christopher Eason, who is not only my boss, but he is the boss of the racing team. Hello, Christopher. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. So you describe your role to be that for leader of the racing team, the Formula Student team, and also the racing team as a whole. Could you describe what your role involves?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually wear a few hats. As the racing team leader, what I do is a lot of coordination. We have two projects, as you might have mentioned previously, the solar car and the Formula Student car. We have a team leader for each of those teams. We also have PR leaders and volunteer coordinators. So as a group, we coordinate and manage the activities of the various aspects of the racing team. So as the racing team leader, what I'm doing is I'm organising that group of people and coordinating it all, and then taking what we decide and what we move from there, and any communications we need to make to faculty, that's faculty advisor, surrogate, or the wider university. I sort of take that forwards and represent the team in those conversations.
Interesting. So while you were describing your role, you mentioned the Formula Student car and the solar car. Would you like to describe to the listeners how different those two cars are and what they're based off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with Formula Student Car. I myself am leader of the Formula Student team. So what we do with that is it's a single seat, all electric race car, and it's all about designing a new car every year to compete against other universities. And the goal is to have sort of the fastest, most agile car. So it just runs purely on battery, charge it up, and then race against other university teams. And a lot of the competition is about the design and the understanding of it. So we actually have a business and a cost event as well, where we have to justify how we've reached that design, how we've costed it, and what the business case for that would be.
Hmm.
The solar car is quite different. So they're all about efficiency and how far you can get on limited resources. So the class of competition we're entering there is the cruiser class of the World Solar Challenge. So the idea is to design and make a practical vehicle which can be solar powered, with the ultimate aim of competing on the World Solar Challenge in Australia
Hmm.
and driving over 3,000 kilometres from the north coast to the south coast of Australia.
Interesting. So you ideally transport all the equipment from the UK to Australia.
Yeah, so for both competitions, we have quite an element of logistics involved with the Formula Student. We go to Silverstone each year and compete there. And we're also looking at different competitions in Europe that the team and the car and the tools will be transported to.
Hmm.
And similarly for the solar car, we have to build it, but then arrange for it to be shipped over to Australia
Hmm.
as sustainably as possible, and then transport a team of individuals out from the wider racing team and solar car team,
Yeah.
along with all the tools they need to support the car in its effort to get 3,000 kilometres across Australia over the course of about a week.
Interesting. So obviously they are two different cars made for two different purposes. What was the thought behind the design process of each of those two cars?
So the Formula Student car has been around for a bit longer than the Solar car, and we've been sort of working on the Formula Student series of competitions since 2016. So a lot of the design elements there are quite time constrained. It's around a 300-page rule book that we have to work within to make sure the car's safe. So we start off a few basic principles of what we want to achieve with the car, and then look at how they make the rule book. And then from there, it's very iterative. So
Hmm.
we look at what went well in previous years' designs, and then take that as the starting canvas, look at what we want to change, and start designing from scratch and working as a core team of individuals who sort of work on different aspects of the car across the mechanical and electrical sides of it. With the solar car, the current generation of the solar car is actually designed off the chassis of a Renault Twizy. So the idea there was that it would be an investigation into could you recycle and upcycle existing electric car components. So a Renault Twizy and battery from a Nissan Leaf, would you combine that and use adaptations on that to make an effective solar car? Future generations of the solar car will be custom built from scratch because of the flexibility that it gives there and allows us to make a lot more improvements than working on existing technology.
Interesting. You said before that with the Formula Student car especially, you learn of your mistakes from previous years. What were the changes that you have gone through for this year's car compared to last year?
So this year is a massive overhaul for our car. We're basically entirely rebuilding our powertrain system. So some of that is not necessarily from mistakes, but from technology upgrades. So what we've actually done is we've designed a brand new battery pack this year using a different system. So it's actually about 75% of the weight of the previous one and almost 170 times more powerful for the power density of it. So that gives us a massive advantage in that we can deliver more power, motors and the wheels, and making that massive weight saving as well. And it's like in the motors, with designed brand new motors and gearboxes for this year. And that's almost 33% lighter as well. So across the car, we've got this brand new powertrain system that's way lighter and way more powerful. And then made also weight savings in the suspension and the chassis. So overall, we're cutting out loads of weight from the car, but also increasing its power. So that gives us a massive boost to our acceleration and also other things like our cornering speed, which are all critical to doing well in competition.
Interesting. So when I first met you in the open day, you described the car's performance. I think if I remember correctly, top speed was around 80 miles per hour.
Yeah, so it's always a difficult one to tell. The actual competition at Formula Student, the track is designed so it's a very twisting and turning track. So you have to you never reach the full capabilities of the car in terms of top speed. It's all about maintaining speed through very tight corners and accelerating away on the short straights that they do have, as well as in the other competitions like the autocross and the sprint, where it's all about either straight line acceleration in the acceleration competition or in the autocross where you're doing a figure of eight track, about maintaining that speed through corners. So during the actual competition, we never actually reach full speed, but sort of through the testing and doing theoretical, the car can potentially be achieving 70, 80 miles an hour, which when you're only 30 or 40 millimeters off the ground feels a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah, I can tell. Speaking of ground clearance, when I looked at the Formula Student car, I didn't see a lot of wing or kind of fenders that increase downforce. How does the car generate downforce?
So aero on Formula Student cars is a very sort of dismissive topic. You'll see some teams that have massive aero packages and massive front wings and rear spoilers. But it's all about trade-off. Are you getting any benefit from that downforce against the weight that you're adding to the car by adding all of these packages? So the team's only seriously been entering cars for sort of the last 4, maybe 5 years. We've only really been kind of effective in that for the last few years. So the car's still quite early compared to a lot of universities. But we're making sort of those massive improvements. But the thing to look at is, at the minute, we're still making massive improvements in cutting weight out and improving our power delivery. So at the minute, just with the natural stickiness of the tyres and the weight of the car, we don't have any problems with slipping on any of the corners. So we don't need any more downforce. So we could bolt a massive wing onto the car, but all we're doing is bolting an extra lump of weight onto the car. So all we've actually done this year is we've designed a full aero package, just like you're talking about there, with different wings and an under tray and diffuser, like you might see on an F1 car. But actually, in all the simulations we've looked at, the performance that we gain from that at the minute of the current car is less than the performance we'd lose by bolting all that extra weight on.
That is very interesting information. I mean, considering the fact that the car doesn't go in the speeds that an F1 car does, so it's not likely to lift off into the air.
Yeah, no, and the nature of the tracks is that because there are so many tight turns and it's all about control, slaloms and things like that, but actually you're not necessarily getting to the speeds where the aero becomes effective. So a lot of teams actually struggle with the aero, and we've seen other teams from different universities actually cutting off their aero packages just before the competition because it's a hindrance. The course itself is marked out with cones. You get a 2-second time penalty for every cone that you knock out of place. And so you see teams with massive front wings that have collected 5 or 6 cones on the front of them as they driven around the course, and they lose massive time penalties to it.
Wow. So you've said that you take the Formula Student car to Silverstone, and as I read up on the events that Formula Student kind of requires the team to go through, I've seen a sprint race. So the sprint race covered the whole of the Silverstone track, or is it just?
No, so for Formula Student, we actually have a special course that gets marked out. So we use Cops Corner of Silverstone just at the end of the old pit straight. So we operate out of the garages of the old pit straight. and we have the acceleration event is done down the old pit straight. That's just a straight line shot of how fast you can accelerate. And then the sprint and endurance events, which are on the student track, is marked out on Cops Corner and some of the surrounding area of that as well. So we only use a shortened section just purely because of how many marshals and the safety required to cover the entire length of the Silverstone track. It's massive.
Yeah.
And it keeps all the action in one contained area for the spectators as well
Yeah.
as the marshals.
Yeah, interesting. So as you've been part of the Formula Student team for what, 5 years?
Yeah, so it's my 5th year in the team now.
Oh, a lot of experience you've gained. So throughout your time being part of the manufacturing team, the business team, what were your most memorable moments that you went, okay, no, this was fun. I actually enjoyed this bit.
So there's sort of a couple each year for me. Sort of in my early years when I was sort of mainly working with business team and leading the business team, it was sort of at the actual competition. So it's almost a Dragon's Den style pitch in front of a panel of judges who could be anyone across the engineering sector. So I think we had in the past, there's been various heads of judges, and one's been like a head of finance at Rolls-Royce, had heads of engineering from places like Jaguar and other major leading manufacturers. So standing in front of those people and delivering this pitch that we just sort of prepared and worked for, and you get asked questions after based on your pitch.
Yeah.
Sort of the moment for me there was they asked a question about sort of the environmental sustainability plans that we had.
Yeah.
And sort of we worked through just based on what we prepped, but also sort of making stuff up on the fly as we went along. And they asked us after sort of all the questions were finished if we prepped everything on that was scripted, or if we sort of thought that up, and they were very impressed by that. But otherwise, it's just getting the car rolling that first time every year, because we have to build a brand new car every year, design and build a new one.
Yeah.
So the first time you see it roll out the door under its own power, that's always a special moment.
Yeah. I can't seem to relate to you, but I can kind of put myself in the shoes and, having worked months and months on it and then finally seeing it roar into life almost, kind of whine into life more like, because it's electric.
Yeah, so they were actually pretty much silent, some of them. But no, when it starts to get up to speed, you sort of hear that hum, and it almost sounds like a far off F1 car, particularly last year's one. But no, it's like you said, it's those months of hard work from so many people across the team, all coming together in essentially what is everyone's spare time. Everyone is volunteers on the entire project, and for that to come together in what is pretty much a ridiculously short time frame, if you think about it. To design and make that car is not something that outside the former student is often done within a year, If you look at sort of the F1 teams and the professionals, and the size of the team that they have and all the money behind it to make the car they make's a lot better than that. But they have so many more resources. It's always sort of special feeling to see something you've worked on work and just drive off. Particularly if you're the one driving.
And I think the most exciting part of that is that the team itself is not built around professionals who are used to building a car. It's mainly just students, mechanical students, like engineering students mainly.
It's all just students. So the team is predominantly engineering students, both mechanical and electrical, like I said, but we have students from across the university that take part, particularly sort of in more recent years as the team sort of expanded and there's more opportunities available. We've had people that are just interested in taking part, whether that be in the design and build or the other activities like the PR outreach and things like that. We've really expanded across the team and brought people in across the university. But no, it's all done on student experience. We have obviously our faculty advisors, Surrogate, and our workshop technicians, Owen and Jimmy, who help us actually in the manufacturing and make sure everything is safe. But most of the work and all the design work is carried out by students, and that's what part of what makes the racing team so special. And it's why we're so proud of it as well, because when you put blood, sweat, and tears into it all, luckily no blood normally, but
I hope not.
It makes it special,
obviously I do agree with that. And I'll be honest, when I went to the, well, sort of introductory meeting for the racing team, um, I almost kind of felt out of place because I personally do economics and everyone else there was, well, engineers. Um, for students who are listening to this, and well, they might be wondering how to get involved. Um, do you provide training to students who come over and want to work on the car hands-on?
Yeah, absolutely. So the team is open to anybody that's willing to sort of commit time and effort
Mm,
to the team. And so what we've been doing this year is we've been running what we call our workshop masterclasses.
mm,
So for those that are interested in sort of learning practical skills, whether they come from an engineering school or not, workshop technician Owen has actually been running some classes on starting with sort of basic workshop skills through to some quite technical bits on different aspects of the car,
mm,
how people get involved. And what that does is it gives people the skills to actually work alongside the more experienced team members
mm.
when it comes to the actual car build.
Yeah,
And then they can get involved and learn hands-on as we go with practical skills. But another big bit of it is sort of the non-practical skills as well. So all the design skills people pick up by working on starting with some of the simpler components, some of the off-car components,
yeah,
working with more experienced team members, um, and sort of learning those skills as they go, or in our sort of non-technical teams as well, in the PR team, sort of in some of the various programs across the business teams as well,
yeah,
and the logistics team for the solar car. There's so many different opportunities across it all, and they're all skills that are fantastically transferable later in working careers, and that's part of why it's so fantastic
yeah,
to get involved. Is there's so many skills here that employers look for later on in life, and we've actually had it before that at a former student, and it's happened to other people at the World Solar Challenge, that there are employers there who go up and ask people, when you finish uni, come work for us,
Oh,
because
wow.
they're so impressed with the different skills that people have developed sort of through these programs and stuff. So it's a fantastic opportunity for people to get involved.
That is inspirational to say the least. Um, so let's move away from the racing team and learn a bit about you. So obviously you have moved through the positions of being just a member of the business team in your first year to leading the whole team, really. But what was your motivation behind it? Like, obviously, there has to be an end goal. What is your end goal?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, sort of my first motivation for getting involved was just interesting.
Hmm.
It's a really cool project to work on,
Yeah.
and it's a challenge that you don't get many other places. So that was sort of my main motivation for getting involved in the team.
Hmm.
Was always just because it's something really cool to do.
Yeah.
But no, sort of through the process, like I said before, I gained so many different skills, and they're all really employable skills. So hopefully, this is my final year at university here. So hopefully next year, uh, I'll be snapped up by hopefully some nice company, in the process of looking for that in a minute. But sort of a lot of people do get involved just because it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so many things you can get that can help you later on in life, but the big bit of it is it's exciting,
Hmm.
and there's lots of different things to get engaged in, and it's an opportunity that you wouldn't normally get anywhere else.
Yeah. Completely agree. So I'm assuming, having an interest in motorsport, you are an F1 fan?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay. So I have come up with a new segment for these episodes. I'm not sure how good it will be, but we'll test the waters. Um, it's called an F1 quiz segment. Creative name. So we'll start off with the first question. I haven't sent Chris any of these questions, by the way. Just if he gets everything right and you claim it's rigged, it's not. He's just smart. So for that question, we'll start off with um, what is the minimum weight limit for an F1 car in the 2021 season? That is including the driver. Your
Oh,
options are 600 kg, 650 kgs, 700 kgs, and 750 kgs.
well, you put me on the spot now. I don't know the answer to this one. I'm afraid I don't follow the F1 technically. I only sort of appreciate the mastery there, but I was going to go with 650.
Did you just have you got impeccable guessing? Because it is correct. It is 650 kgs. The second question, it's a bit easier, this one. Which team won the 2021 F1 Constructors Championship?
I think that'd be Mercedes.
That is incorrect. That would be. Oh wait, no, that is Constructors actually. That is Mercedes actually. I am wrong. I accept it. That is Mercedes because I got confused with the Drivers' Championship and Constructors. Because as F1 fans know, the Drivers' Championship ended in a very, very, very controversial manner. What did you think of it? Was Michael Massey at the wrong or
I think the decision that was made was wrong. I think it was very closely fought championship, and the fact that they were so close on points after that is nobody can dispute that both fantastic drivers and
yeah,
could equally be on the podium. It's just the situation in which it happened. I must say, I think they made a mistake in it. I think it soured it for both sides as well because it
yeah,
very much the controversy that followed it. Even sort of, I'm more a Hamilton man than a Max Verstappen man. But even for Verstappen himself, sort of winning in that controversy sort of took a lot of the spotlight from what is a fantastic achievement.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, for a neutral fan, it was an amazing watch during the race and the aftermath of it because it was genuinely entertaining. Question three. Now this gets a little bit more technical. Um, Christopher doesn't like it.
Yeah, you could have warned him. Swat it up.
Which part of an F1 car's aerodynamics is responsible for creating the most downforce? Your options are the rear wing, the front wing, the underbody, and the diffuser.
So I'd go with the underbody and diffuser out of the options there because, and just sort of linking it back to the Formula Student a little bit, is that sort of the area that we've been looking at as sort of our next step to answer the car.
Pick one.
Uh, well, they work together.
I'll give you that. It's actually, I'm not a technically minded person myself, and I got these questions on the internet. And they said it was the underbody, but I will give you that. I will give you that. Question four. How many engines are each driver allowed to use during a season in F1 as of 2021? And I think this continued on to 2022-23 season. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, here I am now. I'm wishing that I could just Google it quickly and get
No,
the answers before you ask. But
that would be cheating.
no, that would be cheating. Is it three?
It is three. It is three. It's not rigged, by the way. Christopher's got every one of these questions right. It's not rigged. Now the last one. What is the full form of this is easy. What is the full form of the DRS system used in F1?
The full name.
The full name, yeah.
See, this is one that I do know. I actually know, not guessing. The drag reduction system.
That is correct. That is correct. Now let's move on to one question that I personally base a person's personality on, especially a person who has an interest in cars, who is a petrol head, more like. Give me your 6-car garage, one for each of track day, business, off-road, luxury, classic, and project car.
So, track day, I'm not so confident, so I'm going to come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to upset your order a little bit if you don't mind.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
So, for the off-road, there's actually a fantastic new sort of car that's come out recently called the Ineos Grenadier.
Ooh.
It's very much like the original Land Rovers in sort of its design and bodywork, and it's very much meant to actually do proper hard off-roading.
Mm-hmm.
But it's updated and it's a very modern vehicle that's launched quite recently. That's sort of a fantastic brand new one that I've actually been and had a look at. Unfortunately, nowhere near being able to afford as a student. But no, a British sort of guy running the company, and just a fantastic sort of new one, very much like the original Land Rovers.
I haven't actually heard of this, so I might have to go back home and take a look at it. It's a very interesting pick.
Yeah, for the luxury cars there, I mean, you say luxury cars, and if money was no object, the mind goes to Rolls Royce.
Yes, yeah.
And sort of maybe some of the original Phantom as well, Rolls Royce Phantom. just sort of the epitome of sort of class and luxury,
Yes,
and just cruising through.
yes. Just sitting in the back seat, driven by a chauffeur,
Yeah,
feeling no bumps on the road.
and classic cars. I mean, the, the DB5 is
Yes.
it's one of those cars that you say classic car and your mind springs to because it's just you put a DB5 in front of anyone, and even people that don't know cars, and they appreciate it. It's
Yeah,
a fantastic car.
it is an absolutely fantastic car. Obviously made popular by James Bond
Oh,
himself.
absolutely, yeah. Sort of business. Um, I, I'm a bit transparent here. I love a good British sports car.
We can tell.
A Jag. I
Ooh,
just smooth, sleek, nice to drive to get you where you need to go. Maybe something like that, like just
that
smooth, sleek.
little hint of sport as well on that side.
Ah,
I mean,
just
I'm not saying no to it. It's a very, very good choice, but it's also quite an entertaining choice, considering you can just put it into sport mode and just drift around the track whenever you want between business
flexibility
meets.
is a fantastic thing to have.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Um, and your project car?
So one of the things I would absolutely love to do is obviously I'm part of the electric racing team, and all the ones there are good old petrol cars.
Yeah.
But what I'd love to do is take a classic Land Rover Defender, a
Ooh.
110, and electrify it.
Ooh.
So there's so many things now in the electric field that it wouldn't be a pure sort of battery car.
Hmm.
It's an off-roader. It needs to be able to go anywhere. So sort
Yeah.
of my dream is to all-wheel drive electric, but with replacing, taking the engine out and putting a small generator in there. So you've got a small petrol generator in the front,
Yeah.
charge wherever you need to go, plug it into the wall if you're only doing a short hop to the shops. But yeah, making sort of a rugged battery powered all off-road uh, Land Rover Defender.
That is a very, very interesting choice because most people I ask usually go for a Japanese car, Japanese coupe, Japanese sports car for a project car.
No, I'm afraid I'm an outdoorsman.
I can tell.
I enjoy some walking, climbing, and scuba diving, and a car that can get me anywhere I want to go is. So I'm an off-roader.
So you are a very adventurous person. See, I can tell a person's personality based on their car tastes. Just too good. And finally, your tractor. You have been putting this off.
Yeah, so I mean, from my app, there's so many. I couldn't lock it down. But if anyone said you've got any car that you can drive on this track and the track is yours, it'd have to be an F1 car because
Ooh,
it's just so unlike anything else that
yeah.
you could possibly drive. I mean, I might have to start with an F3 car because I imagine put me in an F1 car and be straight in a wall. I might have to start slow, but no, if you gave me sort of free rein for anything and a day at a track, yeah, be an F1 car.
Of all the F1 cars, you know, which one?
I don't know, to be honest. It'd have to be one of the more recent ones, perhaps sort of from the last couple of years when Mercedes are dominant, or the sort of most recent Red Bulls where they've become dominant again, some of the more
Yeah,
recent ones.
that is very, very interesting choice. Because my mind didn't actually go to F1 when they track cars. And to end off this very interesting episode we have with Chris, what are your aims for the team by June? What do you expect to achieve in June?
So by June, from the student line, we should have a nice running working car that we can take to the track and test out, find any bugs or flaws and get them all fixed in advance. Sort of hopefully the SO car will be all finished up in its current form. And again, that'll be up and running and have that on sort of different tracks around the UK. Sort of get that tested out and maybe sort of see what the universities are doing in that way as well.
Hmm.
And sort of for the team in general, a big thing this year is we've really shaken the structure of the team up, sort
Mm.
of changed how we do things. So it's all about sort of getting that settled in and getting everyone settled into new roles and how we do. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a really good group of people who's joined the team this year.
Hmm.
They're really enthusiastic and sort of willing to take over from the old parts like me that are on the way out
Yeah,
and sort of carry the team into the future and keep making those improvements.
that is a very interesting aspect to look into. Well, thank you, Christopher, for taking your time. You've been a very busy man and very hard to get hold of. But I do thank you for taking your time
Well,
off
thank you
your
for having me along.
busy schedule. And well, good luck with your future endeavors, especially with this former student team.
Thank you so much.